The first is the idea that you can't know exactly what your code is supposed to do until you actually build it. And this is the Agile philosophy. Most of the time when you hear about Agile, you're hearing the idea that when a client wants something from a programmer, they won't know exactly what they want until the programmer builds it. And so therefore, it doesn't make sense to build out all of these specifications and talk at length about how exactly everything is going to work, because you won't actually know until you get into the thick of it and actually start doing it, what it is that they're looking for. And also, their requirements are invariably going to change as they learn more about what their project is about. And so the idea is to program and to plan in such a way that you can adapt very quickly to those changing requirements. It turns out that taking an object-oriented perspective on your coding really helps with this, because you break things down into specific pieces that can be reused or replaced as needed. If you do it right, all of the little pieces don't really depend much on one another. Even though they talk to one another a lot, they're actually pretty independent of one another, and we'll talk more about that as we go through these videos. But by taking an object-oriented perspective, you have a much better chance of being adaptable when the time comes to sort of change directions. So that's the first thing that should help. Just this idea that it's nearly universally recognized at this point that whatever project you're working on, even if you're your own client, is going to change over time. And the only way to figure out what it's going to be is to actually start building it. So if you feel overwhelmed with the task of how to organize your code, how to break up your classes into the various components, how deep to go with that, just realize that at the outset, you're not going to know exactly what it is that you're going to need down the road, but that by focusing on learning an object-oriented method to creating your code, you're improving the probability that you'll be able to use your work now in the future once the requirements for your project change.